Animals like drinking! We're drinking. Cheers. Do one more. Cheers, that sounds pretty good for the oil. All these variations. Fit your lifestyle.
Happy Valentine's.
Hey everybody, what's going on? I am not in the Scene Snobs cave, as you can rightfully tell, but I just want to come out and talk to you guys real quick before we get the show started. Keep in mind, this Friday, of course, is our Save Brady 8-hour online fundraiser event, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Please donate. You can go to thescenesnobs.com, and right here, this picture is there. It's a link. It'll take you straight to the GoFundMe, and we can all support little Brady here who needs have his eye removed. As you can see, this beautiful little puppy, he was born with this way with the eye and has an infection behind it. So he has to have surgery to have the eye removed to fix it. And I'm just here to support. He is the puppy of one of our guys here on the Scene Snobs Network. So I just wanted to reach out to you guys, let you know we are doing this event. You can go donate now or at any time, or you can donate during the event. We're going to try and get them there to reach the goal. But tonight is our very special episode of Pulling Focus Podcast. That is my podcast teamed up with Brian Patrick from the Skyline Indie Film Fest, which is a great festival. Everybody should check out, filmmakers and everything. Go follow them. They're taking submissions right now for this year's Film Fest. So without further ado, this is Pulling Focus Podcast. We got to interview the very great, very awesome Michael Pare, one of my favorite actors of all time, one of Brian's favorite actors. We loved him in so many movies, and he was such an awesome guy to talk to, answered all our questions, had a great conversation with us, and he gave us some tidbits on Eddie and the Cruisers. He gave us tidbits on Streets of Fire. He also gave us tidbits on The Warriors, which he wasn't even on, but it's very cool how he's kind of tied to it. So without further ado, I'm going to take myself off. I'm going to put up our Michael Pare interview. Please enjoy. Please like, subscribe to Pulling Focus Podcast. Remember, go help us with the Save Brady campaign, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Welcome to Pulling Focus, a podcast about movies and filmmaking brought to you by Skyline Indie Film Fest and thescenesnobs.com in Winchester, Virginia. Here are your hosts, Brian Patrick and Mick Manhattan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pull and Focus podcast show. My name is Brian Patrick from Skyline Indie Film Fest. I'm joined, as always, by Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. And today, we have a very special guest. Welcome to the show, Mr. Michael Pare. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hey, Brian. Nice to have me. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
Mark, nice to meet you all in Virginia there. I'm in California. And, geez, you know, I thought it was 11:30 California time, but that's all right. I showered, poured myself some coffee, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, all right. Well, we appreciate you getting up early and joining us for this conversation today. There's just so much to talk about. And I initially wanted to book this because Mick had said 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's like, I really want to talk to Michael Pare. And then he's like, you got to watch Streets of Fire. And I knew you from early on from Eddie and the Cruisers and stuff, you know, those big movies. And it just wasn't happening. So I looked you up, made an email. This was one of the easiest bookings in the world. So thank you so much.
Sure, man.
And it was
Isn't there a big Western film festival there also in Virginia?
Not that I know of. We have the Virginia Film Festival. There's a lot in the DC area. There's Skyline.
Richmond does one. I know that.
Yeah, I've been approached by them, and actually, I was supposed to appear, and they were going to screen a few of these westerns I've done, and then the pandemic hit, and they're all old guys, so it's like, oh no.
Oh, you've done some great westerns too.
I had some fun with it.
Bone Tomahawk was great.
And you know what, Kurt Russell, when I came to Hollywood, Joyce Selznick brought me to Hollywood, and for the first couple months, going up to her house and meeting, her people. Kurt Russell was one of her clients, and Kurt was just a great guy. It was like we talked about barbecue grills and and the Weber being better, and and baseball, and he's just, for a guy who'd been in Hollywood since he was 11, he was just, you would never know he was in show business. You'd think he was he could be anything.
He seems like the type, absolutely. I mean, but it's down to earth, and you're very much like that too. I think I gravitate towards actors, especially. I love the accent that you have, because you have that Brooklyn accent. So it definitely feels like home when I'm watching one of your movies.
Funny,
but it's with Kurt Russell is very much similar too. It seemed like you always seemed like a baseball guy. The way he always talked about it in interviews and things like that.
Yeah, I think he was in a minor league for a little while, and he had to make that choice. But playing minor league baseball or making movies, I guess it's a tough decision, but I think he made the right one.
Yeah, I think one's better for the the generational wealth he's probably created.
Well, it's better to be real successful at something than kind of good at something else.
Yeah, agreed.
That's very fair. You guys started 81 is when you got your start in acting, correct?
No, I came out to Hollywood in 80. We shot Greatest American Hero.
Oh,
and then it went on the air maybe in 81. But we just had the 40th anniversary. You see that? You see the sunlight? It just fucking runs.
It's chasing you around there.
It just keeps moving. I don't know what to do about that. Well, anyway, you said you don't show the video, right?
Right.
No, yeah, it's just audio.
Everybody says that, and then I see it on YouTube. So
no, you can hold us true. You can come get us if we share the video.
Yeah, but you guys are changing your gun laws down there in Virginia, I heard. So you can say, "Come on and get me," but I can't get a gun across the state line.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with all that. So they did get rid of the death penalty. I think that's going to be signed soon. So I don't know. We can go political if you want. It could get crazy though with me and Mick.
Well,
we're always going.
No, I don't want to get too political, because there's just no winning.
There's absolutely no winning, and
besides,
you
guys are just too white. I can't deal with you. You're just too white, and you got to get over your whiteness, man. I'll never drink Coca-Cola again. I'll tell you that. Not that I ever drank much of it, but the idea of them putting that on the label is kind of crazy.
What are you talking about? What's on the label of Coca-Cola?
Get over your whiteness. Don't be so white.
I don't know this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Seems like that would have made a headline I would have read or something, but
it's all over the internet, man.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Maybe I don't drink enough of it, or it's fountain drinks, and I
well, me and my wife, we only drink it with Chinese food, and it's really, it's no, it's only good with Chinese food. But anyway, we shouldn't dwell too much on that, because it could only lead to problems, right?
Yeah. Everybody's looking to be offended lately, so let's steer clear.
Yeah, it's so easy to offend people. It used to be hard to insult people.
True.
Don't confuse me with someone that takes you serious, son.
No.
Right?
Yeah, you worked with some of the best directors, man, and one you've worked with repeatedly, and I've always been intrigued by him is Uwe Boll.
Uwe, yeah.
He's such a character, but I always had a deep respect for him. Just I'm doing this on my own.
He made 30 movies, okay, and he made them his way, and he made the ones that he chose to make. He's a brilliant human being. He's got a doctorate and a master's, and he boxed. He was on a chess team and in a boxing league. This is not a lightweight. But there's so many moving parts to make a successful movie or a television show. And if you don't take advantage of them, it's like, you hate the people who are around the set, but the executive producer, the distributor, the cinematographer, the writer, even, your critics, they all have the potential to contribute to the final product. It's like, even if you don't like them personally, they might have a valid point. And Uwe just had no patience with people he didn't respect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's all I could say. We spent a lot of time together. I mean, on our first movie, I think it was with Eric Roberts and Casper Van Dien. There was a whole bunch of people in it. We started cooking together, and that's where we really became friends, because you go to the market together, you start the preparation, you cook it, and then you eat it together. So you have a distraction, and it's easier to talk about other subjects than the movie you're making. And I just like the guy.
Well, it's a deeper bond if you connect on other things. So, and you starting out cooking and as a chef, and he's a restaurateur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and there's no better way to get to know somebody and become friends and bond than having food together, and especially cooking and having food together. Yeah,
and like I say, he just had no patience with people he didn't like, and everybody has. It's like I don't know.
How is it working with him though as a director? Is he demanding? Is he?
No, he doesn't give a lot of direction. He doesn't give a lot of direction. He kind of depends on you to bring your A game.
Okay.
And he speaks really great English with a thick accent, and but he comprehends and he knows the nuances of the literal things. But I think he misses some of the tone, and the subtext and stuff like that. Just because of you can read another language, but you don't understand the colloquialisms and
sure.
The feelings that are being expressed with the words.
Mm-hmm.
He never directed me much, but I showed up, off book on the whole goddamn script, so he knew I had something to give. He gave me some great roles. I got to tell you, I did one with him called Seed. But you see, that the problem with that is that we were rewriting the script as we were shooting, and it wasn't just dialogue. We were rewriting the story. And that's a tough way to make a movie. If the story isn't carved in stone, you can get lost easy.
Yeah.
But it was a great character because I'm chasing this serial killer. But here's the example. The serial killer was a very close friend of Uwe's. And his mother had just died. And in the script, the character's mother abused him as a child. So he didn't, we get on location and it's like, no, I don't want to play that. And it's like, well, wait a minute, man. That's a major story point. He said, yeah, but I can't play that because my mother died recently and I don't, and it's, well, fuck, man. What movie are you in? Because I didn't get that one. But the great stuff that he gave me was the serial killer kidnaps my wife and daughter, and he catches me and he locks me in this like vault with the video feed, and I have to watch him murder my family.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really a dramatic thing to play. And I play cops, and I've been in every branch of law enforcement and military there is. So those characters rarely get to explore, what it is to do their job.
Right.
So the idea of a cop having his family kidnapped and becoming a victim, that's something you don't get to play as a cop. Usually the cop is the hunter and the bad guy's, the villain, and you are frustrated because you can't find him. Why does he do this? Why does he do that? But this is, the hunter becomes the victim all of a sudden. So you see, Uwe had this great idea, and Uwe wrote this, but somehow it didn't translate the film as good as it could have. Although they wanted to make a sequel, and some guys bought the rights to it. And I asked Uwe about it. He says, Michael, if you work with these guys, you don't know what they're going to do. They're capitalizing as a name, as a movie, and a poster. And I said, so I get the idea that you don't think it's a good idea. He said, yeah, it's up to you, but it's not going to be a good movie. I said, okay, all right. I don't need to do it.
And with him too, and especially with as many movies you've worked on, he's gotten a lot of criticism, and I've always been a fan. Like, because I'm not a big video game guy, so like watching the movies, I'm not correlating the two. But he's also done so much outside of the realm of video game movies. Rampage, for one, which I have often talked about, especially with like the shootings that have gone on, school shootings, things like that. I'm like, this is a really poignant film. Like, it's very violent, but at the same time, like, really talks about mental health. Like, he's got a lot of subtext in his movies that show up. And Seed was a great movie too, like you said. Like, you don't really see that when it comes to serial killer movies, especially the way the police officers played. And you did a fantastic job in that role.
Well, he also made this movie Darfur, which is about, and it's really, really controversial if you understand what he's talking about. And he was actually there in that part of Africa, and he said that, I worked in China, but the Chinese are taking over Africa, and what they're, because they're buying up the mineral rights, they lend them money, and then they can't pay back, so they say, all right, you give us this mountain full of whatever the fuck is in it. They're, okay, fine. And, slowly they're eating up Africa. They're buying Africa, and it's not like they're sending armies in. However, in Darfur, Uwe says that they hire Islamic mercenaries to commit genocide against the indigenous Africans who are not Muslims, and they just wipe them out as if they're animals. They come riding in on jeeps or horseback, and they just wipe out the village. And then these mercenaries are financed by the Chinese government. Mm-hmm. So it's like, holy shit, Uwe, do you realize what you're saying? He says, yeah, but no one will see this movie because it's not allowed to talk about this. But I was there, I saw this is true. So it's like, that's a big fucking deal, man. It's like that movie, The Constant Gardener. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They send in all of this medical aid. They want to vaccinate them. And then they're using these African people as test subjects for their vaccines. Then they bring in the Red Cross to feed them. And there's another generation that is born, and then they vaccinate them. And it's like, oh my God, this movie was made like 20 years ago, and this is still going on. It's still going on. Hey, Uwe is a very liberal Democrat, in Germany, but he was exposing a lot of these programs that what are called right-wing conspiracies to be true.
Wow.
So, not only is he brilliant, but he makes these controversial movies. So he had more against him than just, he makes these fucking video game movies and this and that. And he hated making those, even though those were his money makers. Blood Rain, I think we did 3 of them or 4 of them.
Right.
And they were a lot of fun to make for me. I liked it a lot. We shot the Blood Rain Third Reich or Fourth Reich, whatever you fucking call it, in Croatia, in Zagreb. And, that's a very interesting part of Eastern Europe because it wasn't bombed in the war. So it's this ancient, it could be like Austria, and it's up high on a mountain. And it's like, why the fuck would they build a city here? It's so far from the water. And it's like, yeah, but this is like the safest part of the, it's just, fascinating stuff. I had a lot of fun working with Uwe. I miss him. But now he's living back in Germany. His restaurant in Vancouver was destroyed because of the pandemic. He had a very high overhead. He had the only Michelin star in Canada. So, I mean, he didn't do, it wasn't a pizzeria. He had a Michelin star restaurant.
I didn't even know that. No, that's amazing. And just a talented guy all around. I do have, if I could, I have a few questions. I love to hear, just interactions like great actor like yourself, and your interactions, especially with such great directors that you've worked with. Like you've worked with John Carpenter,
Yeah.
Walter Hill,
John Carpenter, Walter Hill, Roland Emmerich,
Yeah.
Brad Furman, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, I worked with some really good guys. I worked with Sophia Coppola.
Nice.
I've had a great career, man. I've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
And like John Wayne said, I've been doing it for 40 years. I must have learned something and done a few things right.
Exactly. I pulled up your IMDb page when we first were trying to get you booked on the show or whatever, and I was like, man, he's probably glad there's a pandemic so he could take a break. You have more shows in post production in 2021 than most people have in the last 5 years.
Yeah, well, I'm not the lead in all of them, but I am in them, and then my name ends up on the poster. So, I like to work. I was really disappointed because the pandemic shut down the actor's studio. And that's, when you're not shooting, I would go to the studio and work on scenes at the studio. I do this because I like it. Probably like I said about Kurt, I must be pretty good at it because it's all I've been doing for 40 years.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we a lot of our audience too are upcoming filmmakers, actors, and things like that, and would love to hear any advice that you may have to give to them. I mean, with behind working behind the camera and in front of the camera.
The big advice I have is you've got to remember the audience is who you're playing to. If the audience has got to be important. It's like I'm going to make a Western with this guy, Alexander Nevsky. And, he's he likes producing more than he likes acting. And, we were talking the other day and he was really good. He said, there's no point in making a movie that nobody wants to see. And I said, yeah, well, I figured that, but how do you know what they want to see? He said, you have to talk to the distributors. You got to see what movies people are buying, what people want to see, because there is a need. I think certain kind of movies feed a need of the audience. It's like you couldn't make a lot of the movie classics from the 50s and 60s and 70s today because the audience isn't interested in it. Like I have a 27-year-old son, and I keep trying to get him to watch On the Waterfront and Streetcar Named Desire, and he's like, Dad, it's just so slow. And he's not he's got his master's in engineering. He's a smart guy. So it's not like he doesn't have the attention span. It's just like, Shakespeare has a very small audience today. Eugene O'Neill has a very small audience today. We just aren't into it. People are, and I don't know why that is. It could be because of video games. And not that video games are bad. As a matter of fact, I read a few books on child development. And this guy, Joseph Chilton Pierce, said that it's a mistake to say that video games are bad for a young person's mind because it's a game, but it requires participation. You are playing the game. You're not watching the game.
It's not passive.
Yeah, it's not passive entertainment. You must participate. So it keeps the mind active. And what the mind's active in is, where the controversy actually is. But participating in these games, I mean, the successful kids or young people, they're not kids anymore, play video games. And it's like, I don't play, the same reason I'm not a musician is that operating that little fucking thing is not something I'm good at. I still have the physicality of a thug. Those delicate hands and fingers,
that dexterity's not there, right?
Right. Yeah. I could play the bass, but I couldn't do Jimi Hendrix.
Well, it's that's pretty big.
But my advice to young filmmakers is remember it's the audience.
Yeah.
And if to be a successful storyteller, you have to capture the audience's attention.
Yeah.
Whoever that audience is. If you say, no, I want to be dealing with people who are really into theater and Shakespeare and O'Neill and stuff like that. Well, then you're not going to be able to, sell that to the general public.
Yeah.
I've
issued myself a challenge this year to watch 365 movies that I've never seen before, feature films.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such big holes in, classic movies and like Citizen Kane. I'd never seen Citizen Kane. On the Waterfront, I've never seen. I have seen Streetcar Named Desire. There's just these huge movies that I've never seen. And when I go back and watch these older ones, I feel like it's, I can sort of appreciate what you're saying. It is a little harder. It's more story and less action. It's a little less engaging if I can't focus on it. And I think
it requires more attention. It's like it requires intellectual participation.
Right.
It's not like you're not playing the game, but you have to concentrate to follow the story.
Right. And if
Fast and Furious, you're just watching the car chase the whole movie. It's like, wow, that's easy to watch.
Mick's trying to get me to watch that garbage, and I can't do it. I watched the first two, and I just can't do it. So.
You watch it because of what it is. But I did not know you've never seen On the Waterfront. You need to watch that.
I haven't. Yeah, no, there's huge movies that I've never seen, and I do find myself, I have to be alone. Go ahead.
You watch On the Waterfront and then A View from the Bridge.
Oh,
okay.
Because both of them deal with rats. It takes place at the same period. And in one, the rat is a bad guy. In the other, the rat is a hero.
I can do that. That could be my Saturday viewing right there.
Another really good one, The Informer.
Yeah.
One of John Ford's Oscar winners. Is a great movie. And to see how, somebody who's a rat is, they deal with him, how he has to live life afterwards. But yeah, we used to watch On the Waterfront constantly because it takes place in Hoboken, and they shot some in Hoboken. I grew up in Jersey City. Right. There's a church in the opening scene, and that's where my great grandparents were married. And then it was torn down. So they'd always watch that movie so they could see the church to remember it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Hoboken. One of my mentors, Louis LaRusso, was a playwright who was from Hoboken.
Oh, nice.
And so I spent a lot of time there. That famous scene where Marlon Brando and is it Jill St. John? They're walking across the park and she drops her glove and Marlon Brando picks it up and he's playing with the glove and Jill St. John is just looking at him like, give me my fucking glove back. And it's like he captures her complete attention just by that one gesture. And I'm sure that wasn't in the script. That was Marlon Brando's genius of, and I've stolen that idea of you have their full attention when you do something like that to a fellow actor or actress. And it's like, that park is, I don't know if it's still there. I mean, Hoboken is developed and it's full of, skyscrapers along the waterfront. But I was spending a lot of time there in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a whole different world now, but it's still beautiful. Just a beautiful area in general.
Do you get back to New York much anymore? Or are you California guy now?
Well, once I became a dad, when I wasn't working, I wanted to be with my son all the time, and he's out here or in Europe. So, it's like, I like New York and it's great. And no, I don't get back much. And now who fucking knows what's going to happen in New York? Broadway's been closed for a year. And now that Cuomo's in trouble politically, well, maybe we'll start opening the restaurants and open up Broadway. And it's the same thing that Gavin Newsom is doing. Well, we're going to start easing because he's going to be recalled.
Appeasement. It's appeasement. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pressure. It's crazy. Just such a weird world we live in at the moment.
You've played these iconic roles. Do you think about how your look in Eddie and the Cruisers and Streets of Fire, for example, have inspired people? Like when that movie came out, I mean, you're probably the reason I wear a leather jacket today. You're the reason I learned guitar. That song, that movie, the sort of tortured artist, a bit standoffish, a little stoic, but I got the feeling that, Eddie really wanted to pour it out or whatever. Do you think about how roles you've played have impacted people over the years? Do people bring it up to you?
Well, a few musicians have contacted me and talked about it. And at the time, it was my first movie, and we had no idea, the movie changed after the first rock and roll performance. The original script, Tom was reflecting. Tom Berenger was reflecting, going back the time that he wasted and what, how this silly band and this asshole leader of the band impacted him. And, because he ends up being a high school English lit teacher. Mm-hmm. And they didn't, when they first sent the script, it was an a cappella group. And Kenny Vance had a big influence on that, because he's best friends with the director. And then when they started getting financing, they got this guy, Jim Brooks, who wrote all of these very successful commercial jingles and You Light Up My Life. But he had like a cabinet of like 30 television awards for writing music. And he was going to write something, much more mainstream. And then by the time, I met Jim Brooks, I met Kenny Vance, and then Southside Johnny was on location. And that's, when we got to New Jersey, Cherry Hill, and they still didn't have the band. They didn't know what kind of music we were going to do. And then one day we flew up to Rhode Island and we saw John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. It was just the Beaver Brown Band then. Mm. And, they put on a show and Marty says, all right, this is the music. And, they were already shooting, scenes, they were already rolling film. And we didn't have those songs until like a week before I had to perform them. And
no pressure, right?
Well, it's just that, did I think about the impact the movie was, I had no idea. I was doing Greatest American Hero still. We shot this on hiatus. After the movie was made, it kind of changed my life because it was like, on Greatest American Hero, I was playing Tony Villicana. I had a small supporting role. I was one facet of the Billy Cat role, just one facet of that character. I impacted Billy Cat. That's what a supporting character does, right? Mm-hmm. And suddenly, when we first got to New Jersey, they put us in this fucking dive hotel. A lot of people got body lice from this hotel. Oh, yeah, I know. Right. It's funny because you stand on the set and you see like 6 different guys, doing this and scratching their crotch. And it's like, it's really very funny.
In hindsight, it's really funny.
In hindsight, right. Well, because, when I first noticed this, I'm thinking, are they all nervous because they don't know what the fuck they hired me for? What the fuck is this guy? How did he get here? Oh my God. So, it's kind of funny. But, when they sent me a clip of Dark Side, somehow I got a clip and I had it on VHS. And everybody I showed that to, and just personal friends, I wasn't showing the agents or anything like that. They were like, they looked at me different. And I was like, well, fuck, man. And then I went back to doing Greatest American Hero for another season before it was ready to come out. And, everybody said, you made a movie, huh? You got distributed. And I didn't know what they were talking about. I said, I don't know. I guess so. I mean, we shot for 40 days. I mean, what do you mean distributed? I didn't know fuck all when I got to Hollywood, really. Right. I knew I had been studying in New York for 2 years, but scene study and character, development and all that classical shit. The idea of hitting marks and understanding lights and camera moves. And I didn't know any of that stuff. So when Eddie came out, I didn't quite understand what had happened. So now, yeah, there's a lot of people who like it. And the scene that they like the most, and it just wasn't a big deal when we shot it. We're on the roof of Tony Mart's, and we're touring the Jersey Shore and you know that area, right? Rhode Island, Jersey Shore, Boston, those kind of bar. We were a bar band, right?
My wife is from Summers Point.
Wow. So Suzanne De Laurentiis, who I've made a few movies with, and she actually sang there. And she was an extra. And now she's a big producer. I've made 4 movies with her. She put me in a movie with Rod Steiger, actually. So in the scene, Tom Berenger is doing Dark Side as if it's this haunting ballad.
Right.
You know, and I'm listening to it, and everybody's kind of goofing around because we're a rock and roll band. We're a bar band. We're supposed to get people up drinking and having dancing and having fun. You know, but I hear the lyrics. And the lyrics to Dark Side were written by Frank Kluge, P.F. Kluge, who is the author of the book. That's a poem in the book. So, you know, the other songs, Tender Years and Wild Summer Nights, John wrote. But this Dark Side, which was really, you know, what the whole movie was about. And you see that, I'll tell you something that not everybody knows. Marty, there's a scene at Haverford where Tom Berenger comes walking up, and you know we're staying in, you know, I don't know where the fuck we're sleeping, but you know we're like in this house on campus, and Tom comes walking up dressed in the khakis and the Oxford shirt like I'm wearing now, and loafers, and it's like, wait a minute, man, we've been touring in bars, and so what happened to the fucking word, man? You're Toby Tyler, right? And he's tries to kiss Helen Schneider, who plays Joanne Carlino. And Marty says, that gets you really pissed off, the director. And I said, I don't think so, Marty. And he says, he's trying to kiss your girlfriend. What's the matter with you? And I said, Marty, now I don't know if we can put this over the radio. Let me tell you something. In my mind, Tom Berenger goes down on Joanne. And that's all he gets to do. That's all. I'm not jealous of that. And he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, it's a power thing, man. It's like, you know, she blows me, but he goes down on her. And it's like, who's the king here? And he goes, you're out of your fucking mind. He's trying to kiss your girlfriend. You're supposed to get mad. And I just don't think it's that simple. I think there's something much deeper, metaphysical going on. And he just looked at me like I was out of my fucking mind. And we didn't have time to discuss the dynamics of, you know, the power, you know, the power structure of some relationships. You know, when we go on the road, she's with me because she's hot, she's sexy, she does backup, but we're not Sonny and Cher,
right?
Yeah. You know. So anyway, so you know, for me, it just seemed like, yeah, I'm not going to get up and get in a fist fight with the word man. He's a kid that I brought along because he talks about poetry and important things that express great ideas and deep emotional stuff and complex emotional stuff. And, you know, he's like a lightweight and I was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's why when he goes, I said, hey, yeah, sure, we can replace you. We just call the union. Go ahead, leave.
Yeah. And
if that's what you think, you know, if you think what we're doing isn't important, then you're not who I thought you were. Go ahead. I'll call the union, bring in another fucking keyboard player. Get lost, kid.
And it plays so perfectly, too. And it's so great to the character.
Tom's you see, Tom knew what I was doing. Tom is a fucking brilliant, deep motherfucker, you know, and I knew that because when we were first getting to know each other, we're talking, and I said, so what's your favorite role? And he said, Bobby Fallon. I said, what's that? He says, it was the movie of the week, but I was playing a boxer. And I'm working out in the gym in Chicago, and these wise guys came in, and they wanted to buy my contract as a boxer, not as an actor. And I said, you see, here's a guy who loves his characters. You know, it wasn't, you know, he's talking about his favorite characters from a little movie of the week he did because of how, you know, how good he was in that role.
That's awesome.
You know, and it's like, fuck, man. You see, and we connected, Tom and I. And he actually went to bat for me with Marty. Marty wanted to fire me at one time, and Tom said, no, you can't get rid of the kid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We got a Eddie and the Cruisers scoop there. That was amazing.
So,
hey man, we're coming up when I got to start getting ready for the rest of my day. If you have a few questions that you want to ask, hit me up now.
That I would love to ask. One is, I mean, there's two types of people when it comes to Streets of Fire: people who haven't seen it and people who love it. I've never met anybody who doesn't love that movie. And I wanted to ask you about that, and what your experience was on that, and revisiting Tom Cody years later, and The Road to Hell, and also Philadelphia Experiment. You were not just the star of that great movie; you were in the remake as well. And I'd love to know what that experience was like to be in a remake of it years later. And what you brought to that when you came back in.
Well, with Streets of Fire, I was in Australia shooting this weird little period piece when my manager sent me the script. And there was all kinds of shit going on behind the scenes on that. My manager was fighting with the agency, and they wanted, someone to take me, or they were going to move me. And it was all this stuff going on that I really had no interest in and didn't understand. And I went from Eddie and the Cruisers, which was, it was like a real artsy endeavor about a very popular genre, right? And this one that I was doing in Australia was a period thing where I play a promoter in 1920 that meets this guy in a bar in New York, and he says, I have this company, I would like you to come help me market. And I go over there. So it's a very artsy thing. And when we went into rehearsal, we had 2 weeks of rehearsal, like Sidney Lumet, in this big warehouse, and everything was taped out. So I was doing like really artsy stuff. And then my manager sends me this big action movie, and it was like, I thought we were gonna, go the Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, James Dean, that those kind of movies. And she says, Michael, oh no, this is big. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. And I'm like, all right. And then I get to LA. And I'm back like 5 days from Australia. And I meet Walter Hill and Joel Silver and who was the blonde girl Daryl Hannah. Daryl Hannah was going to play the Diane Lane role, and Rick Moranis. And I had read the script, but to me it was like, it's a big action movie. I want to do like important things. And then, when I get on the set at Universal and I realize, holy shit, this is a big production. This is a big motherfucking thing. And, but I was completely unprepared. I had never shot a gun. I had never ridden a motorcycle. I didn't know how to drive a stick shift. I had never been in something this big. And, when I turned to Walter for help, the thing that really broke me, which was scared the shit out of me, is I said, Walter, what should I do in this? He says, just be a star. And I was like, I'm not a fucking star, man. 4 years ago, I was working in a restaurant. I was, and I was about to go back to the restaurant business just as I got Greatest American Hero. I wasn't a star. I was an aspiring actor. And when that's the direction you get, it's like, it scared the fuck out of me. And Diane Lane had been on Broadway. She did a movie with Laurence Olivier. I've just felt completely out of my league. And, people don't want to hear this because, it kind of destroys the myth. But, I related more to the stunt guys. And, because they talked about what it actually was. Ron, you're the baddest fucking guy in the neighborhood. And I said, I get it. Okay. All right. I understand that. And we had a famous stunt coordinator. They had the Hells Angels there. The Hells Angels, the bombers, half of them were real Hells Angels.
Oh, that's great.
There's a guy who was like the coordinator for the bombers called Chuck Zito, who Bill Clinton mentions in one of his biographies about. Chuck is a very interesting individual because, he worked for the government. He worked for Wise Guys. He ran the Hells Angels. This was a very serious guy. And, and he kind of, I still see him. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? What's up? And it's like, holy fuck. He was like a very intense person. And Benny Dobbins was a famous stunt coordinator. And I got along with those guys. But Walter was, he was a writer. He was a very successful writer. He had like 10 great fucking movies he made. And he's looking at me, and it's like, I think they said, we want Pare. And he says, all right, but, you know, I don't know how to deal with this fucking kid. I mean, I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know where Walter's from, but, you know, anyway.
I can only imagine how many stories between you and Michael Beck on Houston Nights you talked about Walter Hill.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, I want to hear a funny story about that. I was working at Tavern on the Green, and I lived on 101st Street between West End and Riverside, right? And, you know, they're shooting The Warriors, you know, in New York. And, you know, at night after work, me and my girlfriend would sit out on the stoop. We'd have a glass of wine, you know, and everybody's like running down the street. And I said, what the fuck's going on? Said, they're shooting a movie. They're shooting a movie down the street. What are you talking about? They're shooting this movie called The Warriors. It's about gangs. And the next night, they're still shooting there. And Anita was a waitress on Columbus Avenue. And, you know, a lot of waitresses are actresses. And they said, yeah, you know, it's funny. If you give them a problem, sometimes they'll give you money to shut up and get, you know, and get lost. So I'm thinking, oh, that's great. All right. So I just have to walk like, you know, 50 yards and I'm at the edge of the production, you know, and so when they roll, I you know, we said, hey, what the fuck are you doing in my neighborhood, man? What's going on here? Cut. And this guy comes over and says, could you keep it down? We're trying to make a movie here. And I said, yeah, sure. All right. So they get it all set up again. They go, all right, action. And they start the scene. They say, hey, come on. You know, I want to cross the street here. They cut. What do you want? What's your fucking problem? And I said, give me $20. And the guy says, take me to his pocket and gives me $20. All right. And so I'm laughing and I watch what they're doing and I go home. Now, 4 years later, I'm on the set of Streets of Fire. And there's that guy who gave me the $20. And he was the first AD on The Warriors. And now he's the first AD on Streets of Fire. And he remembered, he says, we were shooting by the monument. Riverside Drive. And he said, yeah. And he says, oh my God. And now from being an asshole in the neighborhood to being the lead in the movie. Okay. So that's what I mean. It was that close, you know. So, and suddenly I'm on a, what is it, $22 million movie with major stars and big director, Andy Laszlo, Joel Silver. And, you know, if they had talked to David Sosna before they cast me, they probably would have said, no, this guy's going to be a problem.
That's great. I love it. Just shut down production for $20.
Well, you're not the whole production. It's just like if the neighborhood's making noise, you know, they got cut. Come on, yeah. We're making a movie. You know, it's not like anyway. But Michael Beck and Michael didn't remember that moment because, you know, there was fucking 20 guys in that movie. So in The Warriors, but yeah. Mike is a great guy. He's a good man, you know, and I saw him recently and he's a healthy son of a bitch. He looks like Kenny Rogers, you know, he got the full white hair and full white beard and tall and thin. Good man.
That's awesome.
Mr. Pare, this has been great. Thank you so much for spending a little time with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Sure, guys. I hope it, you know, if something comes up, let me know. We could do it again.
Talking to you has been such an honor today. Such a huge fan.
All right, guys. Hey, take care, y'all. All right.
All right.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I have so many more questions. I wish I had all day.
I don't think 3 hours would be enough because he's just. We got an Eddie and the Cruisers scoop. We got a Streets of Fire scoop. I mean,
a Warrior scoop.
A Warrior scoop. Yeah, that's so cool.
Movie. Oh, it's just so brilliant. And yeah. Oh my God.
I did sort of in preparation, like I only know him as an actor in movies, you know. I've never seen any interviews with him or anything. So I did go watch a couple of interviews. I was like, and after that, I was like, this is going to be fun because he's casual, he's chatty, but he didn't swear in the other one. So fuck yeah.
Dude, it was so awesome. Yeah, no, he seemed very, very down to earth and just like so cool to talk to. Yeah. I wish we could have gotten that Philadelphia experiment question because I think that would have been awesome, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's like legit interested in coming back, I mean, he could come on annually easy. Like he could be a tri-host. He could be our tri-host if he wanted to.
Because there's so many movies he was in.
Yeah.
So many experiences, like just to talk about that. It was so wonderful, man. It
I mean, and we didn't really get to ask him about writing and directing. You know, we just sort of hit the highlights, which
I would love to hear, because in the last episode we talked about Streets of Fire, and since then you've watched it. And now you've talked to Michael Pare. What's your thoughts on it, man?
I loved it. I love Streets of Fire. It took a minute to sort of calibrate, you know, to the look of it, I guess, because it's, I mean, for lack of a better description, it's an old movie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the bikers looked a little like they were in patent leather, you know, type of stuff. It's like, all right. But no, I enjoyed it. I liked the story. I loved it. William Dafoe is just an asshole. and just decides to go hijack a singer just because. It was a lot of fun. He shows up. Michael Pare's what his character is, what
Tom Cody.
Tom Cody. Tom shows up, gets the telegram or whatever, and he shows up immediately, like kicks ass in his sister's diner, steals the car from the you know, the socias that he just beat up or whatever. And then I love that that's just his car the rest of the movie.
Right? And then when he does it, somehow comes back to at the end. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
Amy Madigan's character went back and got it.
Yeah, and I liked her so much too. You know, what a good, strong, for the time period, like she was a powerful female presence, you know, and that's not typical in 1984.
And it's such a star-packed movie. I mean, Diane Lane, Rick Moranis, Bill Paxton playing the bartender.
Yeah.
You know, like all these names that are just so huge and go on. And you know, he led the charge, but he had such a great presence as a heroic figure. Yeah, for sure. I love Bad Moon, and I didn't even bring that up.
I like Bad Moon as well. His character kind of, you know, initially after he's exposed or bitten or clawed or whatever, he's, you know, shackling himself to a tree so he doesn't hurt people anymore. But then he goes out of his way to get rid of the dog so that the werewolf can get to the family. Like there was a weird character divergence in there somewhere. And then, you know, the transformation scene was a little tough.
Yeah, no, and I love that. You sent me a picture of a witch mask, and I was just like, "This is."
No, I thought Bad Moon. I mean, there's a lot of werewolf movies, and a lot of them are really bad. That was not a bad werewolf movie at all.
I enjoyed it, and I think that's why, because there are so many bad werewolf movies. It's like you got to take the wins when you can. Yeah. It's just that's a whole different topic within itself. Mm-hmm. But that was just so amazing to talk to him and just like learn so much more. I'm glad we got to hit on the points we did, for sure. Yeah. Because he's just in so many movies. It was like 45 minutes. I was like, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like this could be volume 1 of 6 or 8 or something. I don't know.
Oh God, it's just so brilliant.
Yeah. But, well, I hope he does come back. He's more than Michael. You're welcome anytime to be on the show. If we can help promote as much as we can, we're happy to do that stuff. And I'm looking forward to watching the Penthouse. You know.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I definitely, because I saw it the other day when it was posted, and I'm all for it. I would love to. Should get Michael back on the show too, and then we'll just have a Houston Knights It's only like one season, but whatever, man. You can talk about that all day.
Oh man, well, we could sit here and gush about Michael Pare all day. What else you got going on?
Yeah, that's a loaded question because the Scene Snobs is just
exploding.
Yeah, I know, right? Not by talent or fortitude or anything. It's just other talent, not me.
Loads of fortitude, loads of tenacity.
And I want to thank you. You donated to the Save Brady fund, which we're doing, which is amazing. We appreciate it. It's one of my Brady is a puppy that needs a surgery. He's one of my hosts on. He's the host of the Carpool Shenanigans, one of the shows on the network. So really trying to help him out to get Brady that surgery because he was born with an eye issue. I don't exactly know right this second what it was. I have it written down, But if he doesn't get the surgery, an infection will spread, and that's what they're trying to avoid. Because if it spreads, he might have to be put down, and nobody wants that. Brady's just a little puppy.
Yeah, he's a cute little pug, at least pug mix, and I've got a little one-eyed dog, a little Chihuahua Dachshund mix, and it gives him some character. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's been so awesome to see so many people helping out. Actually, Diana Prince, who plays Darcy the Mail Girl in the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs, she's a big animal lover. I reached out to her. She's spreading the word.
Nice.
To everybody. So and we're doing an 8-hour fundathon next Friday night, starting at 6 p.m., March 5th.
Yeah.
It's going to be 8 hours. Thankfully, it's not going to be 8 hours of my face, because now we have such a bigger network. There's going to be multiple people on, and we have shows from all over.
Yeah, you could do a full telethon now.
Yeah, and everybody's joining in. So they want to bring their audiences so we can try and raise the money for Brady. And if this goes well, we want to do this more often to help other charities. Just to kind of, do our part, help when we can.
Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome. Awful nice of you guys.
Yeah, and it's just great to see how people have all come together and stuff, especially it's heartwarming, so that's really all I got. That, and how about you, man? How's Skyline doing and everything else?
Coming up on March, I guess it'll be March when this gets into everybody's feeds or whatever, which is the last month of regular submissions for Skyline. And so we're going to do a big marketing push for that and try to get some more, good quality submissions in. And we're starting to look for screeners. So if anybody's out there listening, if you want to ask about and learn about what it takes to screen films that we will ultimately program at the 9th Annual Festival, shoot us an email, info@skylineindiefilmfest.org or brianpatrick1@gmail. Or you can email Pulling Focus or hit us on Twitter, Instagram, any of our social feeds. But it's not as easy as it may sound. It's not just watching something and say I like it or I don't. We need feedback and critique, but it is greatly appreciated. No festival can happen without screeners and quality screeners at that.
Man, I'm so excited. There's great stuff happening, man. And Pulling Focus, of course, everybody, you can listen to us every other Tuesday. We are on SkylineIndieFilmFest.org. I have links up on Scene Snobs, and Brian has links up on Skyline Indie Film Fest, so you can follow us there. We are PFP Show at PFP Show online, so you can follow us there for any more information. We also, the Scene Snobs airs the episodes every Wednesday at 6 p.m., so you can always check us out there. This will be up then as well. And then, so go check out Skyline Indie Film Fest. Submit if you have a film. And, of course, check out the scenesnobs.com for a less smart programming.
That's inaccurate. You're fishing for compliments now.
I am fishing for compliments, but we've had so many really good shows join up that are so smart. We have a new one coming on. I can't give the date yet because but I can give the exclusive. Today's Space podcast is going to be joining up with us, and it is a truly amazing scientific podcast, which for dumb people like me, to understand how space travel and engineering works after I listen to it is a big deal. So,
wow,
because I don't.
That's exciting. I love a good science podcast.
And Alex is truly fantastic with it. I was watching the NASA Perseverance landing, and I turned it off just to watch Alex because Alex explains it so much better. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I get this. Okay, NASA, you weren't doing too well. But yeah, it's truly astounding. And we're so lucky to have him, and we have other shows joining up, so get ready for those as well.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
the stable grows.
The stable grows, man. So big, too big to fail. Oh, Enron.
All right. On that note, have a great week, everybody. Make sure you download the show. Find us in all your podcast feeds. If you want to contact us, it's at PFP Show on Instagram and Twitter. Pull and Focus Podcast Show at gmail.com for emails. And we're on Facebook. Find the scenesnobs.com, SkylineIndieFilmFest.org. We're everywhere. You can't avoid us, so don't try.
You've been listening to Pulling Focus with Brian Patrick and Mick Manhattan. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Skyline Indie Film FE and at The Scene Snob. Please rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.